It all kicked off with a low humming vibration, the kind that makes the pickle jars dance on the shelves of the Three Brothers General Store. Old Tom Brown, curious as ever, followed the sound out to a back shed. Inside, he found a bizarre contraption. It looked a bit like an old brass moonshine still, but when he touched it, it felt like it was spun from pure starlight. Doc Holliday, always the investigator, leaned in close to get a better look at a peculiar dial. At the same time, Cousin Rosemary started wiping a thick layer of dust off a big lever. Just then Sugar, the tiny Siamese cat perched on Tom's shoulder, let out a sharp, commanding yowl. Her brilliant blue eyes began to glow, and her tail twitched with an almost electric energy. Before Tom could even get a word out, the whole world outside the shed window dissolved into a swirling blur of silver and gold. When the humming finally stopped and the world came back into focus, they weren't in Arkansas anymore, not by a long shot. They found themselves standing in a lush, green courtyard, surrounded by magnificent stone spires that seemed to scrape the very heavens. Rosemary clutched her lantern tight, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Lord have mercy, Tom," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't think we're in Marion County anymore." Just then, a man with a beard as long and white as Tom, as though he was draped in robes of deep, rich velvet, stepped out to greet them. Flanking him were two imposing figures, a king clad in polished silver armor, and a dark, silent knight who looked like a living shadow cast in iron. "I am Merlin," the wizard announced, his eyes twinkling with a powerful ancient magic. "And you, Mr. Brown, have arrived just in time for the feast." King Arthur himself then stepped forward. His gaze fell upon the giant of a man in denim overalls and the tiny regal kitten sitting proudly on his shoulder. "I have fought in many battles," the king declared, his voice filled with awe, "but I have never seen a man as mountain-like as you, nor a creature with such piercing blue eyes and the noble bearing of that sentinel on your shoulder." Holliday, ever the gentleman, tipped his black hat. The silver head of his cane tapped rhythmically on the cobblestones. "A pleasure, Your Majesty," he said smoothly. "We've certainly come a long way for this visit, and I do hear your table is round enough for even a giant like Tom to find a comfortable seat." They spent the rest of the day in the grand halls of Camelot. It was a sight to behold. Tom found himself trading stories of the Ozark Bluffs with the mysterious Black Knight, who listened with surprising interest. All the while, Sugar sat primly on the legendary round table, staring at the Holy Grail itself with a calm, unimpressed Siamese dignity. Rosemary, never one to be idle, even gave Merlin a few practical tips on how to keep a wood stove burning hot through a long, harsh winter. When it was finally time for them to leave, Merlin simply tapped their strange time machine with his staff. In a brilliant flash of light, they were gone. They reappeared right back on the familiar wooden porch of the general store, with the warm Ozark sun just beginning to set, warming the old floorboards. Old Grumpy the Buzzard was there waiting for them, perched on the railing. He gave them a look that seemed to say he'd deep into Camelot and back a few times himself. Tom reached deep into his overalls and pulled out a fresh sleeve of Oreos. He twisted one open and handed the first cookie to the bird. "Knights and wizards are fine for a story, Doc," Tom rumbled, his shaggy beard twitching into a wide grin. "But they don't have double stuffs, and they sure as heck don't have the simple piece of a Three Brothers porch." Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this little trip through time, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time.